ese hombre holding up the bottle. Look a little closer, cigar and Moscato. An actor in improv coming from Chicago. Alto, make way for Paul Vato.
Hi, my name is Paul Vato, and welcome everyone to Paul Vato Presents. And today my guest is Jose Ucar, or Ucar. If it's Jose Ucar or Jose Ucar.
Well, I do like the second one better, but if you call me Jose Ucar, I will turn around and I may respond. Let's see how today goes.
It's me, like with my made-up last name of Vato. You know, Vato is a very Mexican slang that means like dude, like che, orale, Vato. You know,
Orale.
But if you call me Vato, I'm gonna go like, oh, yes, they're talking. That's definitely me. So, orale. All right. Well, Jose, thank you so much for being here and taking time. I know that our schedules are a little bit different because you are in the UK. So I want to touch base on all those things, you know, your background, your history, but maybe would you mind maybe introducing yourself a little bit to the people that are here so that they can see who you are and kind of what you do. And then we'll touch base on your family and growing up in Venezuela and then making, you know, traveling the world really, and then ending up in the UK. So who is Jose Ucar?
Hey, Paul. Well, again, thank you so much. And hello, incredible audience, for being here today. I'm a communication and public speaking coach, and I help people in business leaders to communicate with impact. That is the summary of what I do on a daily basis. I'm also not only a coach and a trainer, I'm also a speaker, and everything I do touches on three things: mindset, language, and I would say everything else that happens externally. So mindset, language, body language, and the impact we create in the audience. That's actually the three elements. I'm sure there's another element that is not coming to mind, but it will come at some point today.
And when it does, by all means, please let us know. Now, we met on Clubhouse, you know, social audio. I think social audio is such an important part of our life and whatnot. So, but it's great when you have those rooms on Clubhouse and I see it, I pop in because you have so much to share. And I've seen you help so many people. My inspiration is, you know, one day I'd like to, you know, work on my TEDx talk. I'd like to have a TEDx talk. So it's amazing what you do and how you help people do that.
It's one of those things that, you know, I wake up in the morning and I'm thinking about it. I go to bed thinking about it. And then I wake up the next day still thinking about it. And, you know, it keeps me energized. It's amazing because I can be tired. You can potentially see it. You know, I got like dark under my eyes a little bit. But the fact that, you know I'm helping people, then it's just, it's that energy that comes from somewhere else, not just within me, which is amazing.
Amazing. How did you get into this field, or I mean, are your parents motivational speakers? You know, I deal with a lot of actors and movie stars and, you know, singers. And so I like to ask that question, but I think it kind of also works here. Like, are your parents in this, or and were they supportive when you kind of got into it, or were they more like business people, or what was it like growing up?
Good buddy. Well, what was it like growing up? Well, first of all, my parents, my dad, well, they are not public speakers. They are not, I mean, I'm gonna say they're motivational in their own way and inspiring, but they don't do what I do, nothing close to it. My dad was into business back in Venezuela, real estate for a while. He was a pilot when I was born, but then he decided to pursue something else. And then my mom, she's always been in business, mainly HR. That's been her specialty, and she's about to retire in the next couple of years. They live in Spain now. They left Venezuela many years ago. And I think that the most important thing I can share before you ask me any other questions, if they've been supportive, they've been the best in their own way with the resources they have available. They've been always, you know, supported me, given me plenty of love, which is the most important thing, and encouragement. So they've always been like rooting for me every time. They still do. My dad is my number one supporter on social network, for example.
That's wonderful, because I think, and I don't know if it's a stereotype. It must be a stereotype, you know, because you always feel that like Latino parents aren't necessarily very supportive when it comes to more creative endeavors. And I hope that that's changing, and I hope that that's different. But I can only kind of speak from my own experience. Granted, my father, he was from Mexico. I was born in Chicago, and my mom is from Texas. And but my father was a lot older than I was. I mean, I was born probably when he was like in his 40s. So by the time I'm in my 20s, he's in his 60s. So he's I was like, whoa, that's really old. I think for a lot of people, but so I've always kind of I hopefully been under the wrong assumption that Latino parents are not very supportive, because now the more people that I speak to, they're like, oh no, it's quite the opposite. My parents have been very supportive, whether it's stand-up comedians or actors or anyone like that. So that's great to hear that they are like your biggest fans and whatnot.
But I see where you're coming from with that, because I remember being in Venezuela. I mean, my dad has always been more flexible, kind of, look, pursue your dreams. If you want to do something different with your life, yes. My mom, on the other side, she said, get a career, get a degree, get something, and then from there, explore. But at least you have got something to fall back on. That was her advice. So I decided to take a little bit from each one of them. But even when I was in Venezuela and I was doing things that weren't actually being a doctor or being a dentist, or what's the other one, a lawyer or something like that, people would look at me, but there's no money in it, or that everything was kind of money driven. And well, but you're not going to be successful if you do that. People, I'm not going to say ignorant is the word, but close-minded when it comes to exploring outside, the main careers that have always been popular, or engineer, for instance.
Of
And
course.
that's I think something that's not only Latin America, in many countries, because you also find in the UK, look, you need that career. But as you know, more and more people are exploring internet. One of the positive things is it's open possibilities to create new businesses, explore new things, do what really fulfills you, and that's key.
That's it. I think more and more people are discovering that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please give it up for Jose and what he had to say, because more and more people are discovering their passions. And we didn't have a choice. A couple years ago when we were. Now it's like, no, oh shoot, now I have to work from home, or I got to figure something out because my business is closed. So I'm glad that I think that there's been this shift, this mentality shift where people are now really starting to explore what makes me happy. I mean, there's this, they're calling it what the great resignation, where people are resigning and going like, I've discovered again my passion, for podcasting and for acting. And I'm like, if I can make a living at this is going to be wonderful. And I can see it's shifting because I'm spending and investing more and more time in doing this. But I really enjoy this, and I like Clubhouse. I like other social audio apps, but I really like this, the interaction, the one-on-one, where you and I can do, a sort of a little deep dive into this, where we don't do that on other platforms because we're not selfish. We're not going to sit there and monopolize the room. Where here, I know that people that are here, they're here to listen to you and get some advice from you and learn a little bit about you, and maybe we make them laugh a little bit along the way and have a good time.
Hopefully we do that. Absolutely.
Hopefully, we can do that. So how long were you in Venezuela? Because and I mean, we could probably go on Venezuela, and I don't want to call them problems, but the situation that is in Venezuela and what's I mean, I believe it used to be like maybe the wealthiest Latin country in Latin America at one point, and there's been this big shift. So what was it like growing up there, and how old were you when you left? I would assume that you left with your parents. And I don't want to dwell on the negative. I mean, I would love to visit Venezuela.
All right, Paul, where do I start? Well, growing up in that country was a dream. Okay.
Hmm.
I could also say I didn't know any different because, I was growing up there. But even when I compare things, I wouldn't change it for the world. My time in Venezuela was very, very special. I left when I was 25. I'm 40 now. I just turned 40 this year. And it was incredible, incredible, amazing people, lots of love from my parents, from my family. We weren't a big family, but we were, very close in a way. And I got to experience living not only in Caracas, where I was born in the capital, I also lived by the sea. So I could experience what it was like, just to, in the middle of the afternoon, jump on a bike and then just cycle around town free without any concerns about anyone, stealing your bike or kidnapping you. And we could go to the sea, which was, well, literally, I lived in front of the sea for 12 years. Amazing views. At some point, I'll send you a picture. My dad has got loads of them. It was a treat. It was magnificent. And those are my memories, the memories of my grandparents, everything. Then things started to change. And quickly before, because I see you want to ask me something, say something. 1950s, around the 1950s, Venezuela was the first, the biggest, how do I say this? The biggest destination for investment from the US into Latin America. That was number one. And it became the most developed country within Latin America by far, because obviously oil, it was privatized. It was it was taking care of the key companies, industries worldwide, if you like, before it got nationalized. When it got nationalized, we're diving into history here. Then things started to shift. But by then, the 1950s, 60s, we could really, I wasn't around, but that was the real, wealthy time for that country development. Even, when they started creating the streets in Caracas, they were planning 20, 30, 40 years ahead, which is something you don't see nowadays that often. So it was a treat, my friend, and very good memories. Let me stop it there and carry on, because otherwise I just dive into more history and moments and things. And
Well, we might have to do a whole show just dedicated to Venezuela, and because that is one of my passions is traveling. But being a business owner, I haven't had the chance to really go everywhere. But definitely, I want to explore all of Latin America. For sure. I mean, I've been to Cuba, of course. I've been to Mexico, where my father's from, as far as Latin America goes, and I've been to I've been to France, I've been to Spain, but I really want to explore Latin America, and Venezuela would be it. My question it was probably just silly, but what's the name of that town, that the seaside town, the oceanside town that you grew up in, or
Cumaná, Cumaná.
Cumana? It sounds lovely. It sounds wonderful. I mean, anytime they can live by the beach, by the ocean
It,
side there,
Paul,
it's got to be
it
amazing.
was. It was. Nature hasn't changed in the country, but I would say people have changed. Yes.
Did you and your family all move at the same time, or because you said you left when you were 25, or had your
Mhm.
parents already left, or did they leave later? How did that migration work?
Yeah, we did it in three stages. First, left my dad and my brother left. My younger brother, he was in 12. He was 12 when they left back in 2002. Yeah, 2002 they left to Spain. Then I left in 2006, and then 2007 my mom followed. And then a year after that, I left to the UK, and then I started jumping around
You-
from
you-
country from country to country and things like that.
I love it. I love it. I mean, that's still. I hope it's not too late for me. I still, want to do that because
Never too late.
it's just and social audio has really just cemented the fact that that's what I want to do. I want to meet people. I want to meet you. Yeah. At least now we've gone a step further and we've kind of we've met face to face. But I knew you from Clubhouse. It was just audio, and
Yeah.
then now visually. But I would love to come to the UK, and you show me around. You take me to the places that you hang out. You introduce me to your friends and what you do, especially being from somewhere else and moving to a culture that's very British or English. But I have other friends that happen to be Latino that live in the UK as well. So it's what I'm going to interview him as well, and maybe I'll introduce you guys. But because I'm sure all you Latinos must know each other, right? If you live in London.
Well, you'll be very surprised. I don't know many Latinos. I don't know many Venezuelans either. But I guess that's the way I am. Wherever I go, I just hang around with the people in the area. So
Yep.
I never go looking for. I'm just there, and I open up to what's there. That's something I've always done, not without even thinking about it. But I remember even when I went to Sweden, I learned the language because I wasn't even thinking I'm going to start looking for. Plus, there were many Latinos in that tiny town in the north of the country back in the 90s. But then I just, embraced my situation, connected with people in the area, and that's the best way to learn. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with connecting with, looking for Latin Americans and things. But then in my mind, I'm thinking I'm in a different place. I want to experience what's different. And that's how I've always done it. But now I'm having more people from Venezuela, more people coming here. So we hear them on the streets and we connect, we say hello, which is beautiful as well. So
Can you tell if somebody's from Venezuela, or do you just know that they're Latino, or can you go like that guy's from he or she they're Venezuelan? Can you tell? Is there an
no, I
accent?
mean the accent, yes, I can spot the accent still from
Okay.
miles. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm very lucky. I'm from Chicago, where we don't have an accent. So, no, I'm kidding.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Where you don't.
Nah, Chicago, no accent. Don't be a
Chicago.
jagoff. No, thank you. Thank you. Uh, no, and I was going to say, yeah, if you want to be amongst other Latinos, then, move back to Latin America or Los Angeles, I get it, because I'm the same way. If I'm going to go somewhere, I want to experience. I already know what my culture is like. Let me experience that culture. Um, I learned how to say "Jag heter Paul," which is, I believe, my name is in Swedish. So, do you
Ja,
speak?
jag heter Paul. Ja.
Yeah, you'll get there, Paul. And I've started studying Norwegian because I want to go visit my friend in Norway who's Mexican American. He was born in Mexico, I think, and then became an American citizen. But he lives in Norway, and he's the inventor of the pancake bot. It's like a 3D printer that prints out pancakes, and he's also done TEDx. He's a TEDx speaker. He served breakfast to President Obama in the White House with this
Wow.
pancake spot. But he lives in Norway. His wife's Norwegian. His kids are half Mexican, half Viking, and half Mexican. So, uh,
Oh,
so
that's amazing.
I started learning a little bit of Norwegian, but really the only thing that I remember is my name is Paul in Swedish. So,
That's a good start.
oh, good, good. How long were you in Sweden?
I lived there for a year. I
Wow.
was there
Okay.
for a
Okay.
full year.
Jason
So
Barajas says, Jose, I hear the accent from the country that you're in right now. You can definitely tell that you're in the UK just by the way you use your acentos. That's very interesting.
okay. Well, there we go. Yeah, potentially. I've been here for a while. In the past, I spoke with, people in the UK would say, yeah, you're American, because then I have more of an American accent, which I learned when I lived there and when I lived in Sweden. But then being here for so many years, I guess, yeah, you do pick up the accent, which I guess is normal. And Paul, I just wanted, to really quickly reconnect to what I said before about not looking for Latinos, but embracing, my environment. I embraced my environment and I ended up marrying a Colombian lady.
Uh,
So, so
wait, where did you find in the UK? Was she already in the UK, or where did you guys
she
meet?
she was already in the UK, and look, I don't think I completely fit the stereotype of a Latino dancing and everything else. I dance okay and I like it, but I don't go out dancing, right? I don't just go dancing. But I have a friend from Iran. He's a very good friend of mine. He's almost like a brother. And he's a professional salsa dancer. So he
Wow.
said to me one day, Jose, this weekend, he speaks like this. He's quite, romantic when he chats, and, it's just always like, Jose, we're gonna go to that salsa concert, and this band is playing. Do you know them? And I went like, no, I don't know them. How can you not know them? They're super famous in Latin America. Well, I said, I'm sorry, I don't know them. Anyway, we went there, and by the end of the night, I was dancing with my future wife without even knowing it. But it was
Wow.
because someone else, and yeah, that's how things happen. I embraced that environment so much that then I ended up marrying. So,
A Colombian. Well, they're everywhere because my brother's also married to a Colombian who loves to dance. So she must be from like Barranquilla because
okay.
my brother's wife goes, "I'm from Barranquilla, like Shakira, baila, baila, baila." They're always freaking dancing, these Colombians.
Yeah, my wife is from Cali, so
Golly,
the
okay.
yeah, so salsa dancing is Yeah, very common in there. Popular. It's kind of it's part of the culture. You don't dance, don't go out. Don't talk to me.
Wow. Yeah, 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 yeah. That is wonderful. How long have you been married? Sorry, we should ask her.
3, 4 years. There we go. So that's how precise I am, or 5. You,
If you want,
Paul, well,
I'll cut
the
this out.
answer. You, you come and ask. Actually, I'll invite her to the show next time or something, or you invite her and then you can discuss that bit. I think 3 years, 4 years, 3 years, 4 years.
I might have to cut that out. Here, if you want to do it again, we can. Jose, how long have you been? How long have you been married?
Yeah, let's do that one again. Okay, so let's do it again.
Jose, how long have you been married?
3 years, Paul, and it's been
Uh,
amazing.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And cut. Good, good, good. Any kids, or are you just practicing?
No, no, I would like to practice a bit more, but then life gets in the way, or in
Yeah.
her way, because life doesn't get in my way if I want to practice. But there we go. Yeah, no kids.
May I
I
may
mean,
I ask?
the audience is on fire. Thank you guys. I mean, that my jokes are daddy jokes, but there we go.
That they're wonderful. Please, everyone, you know what? If you're here, let's give Jose a round of applause and thank you guys. And please share the screen with everyone. I'm gonna do that. Share it to my
Thank
followers
you, people.
because it's and we'll get into a little bit into what you do and how people can reach out to you if they need help as far as their motivational speaking and the programs that you offer and things like that. But it's so good to actually sit here and talk to you, and it always fascinates me, and maybe because I am Mexican American, and somehow ending up in the US, my father, but I always appreciate cultures like that, even if it's a Venezuelan marrying a Colombian, and the intricacies, or your friend who's, you say he's Iranian, who's a salsa dancer, like things like that, always fascinates me. Or when couples that are Muslim and Jewish end up connecting and getting married, and or Christian and non atheist or whatever, so I love exploring that. I think it just makes the world such a much richer place, and social audio is just making the world smaller and smaller, because here you are in the UK and I'm still half asleep in Vegas, and here we are talking like no big deal.
No big deal. Absolutely.
So now you went to school for business, right? Because I was going to ask, how did you get into motivational speaking, and can anyone do it? Is this something that can be taught? Can it be learned? Or is it, you have to, I think I know the answer, but sometimes people are like, oh, I could never do that.
Well, if you believe you cannot do that, then you won't. Simple, right? Anyone can learn this. Anyone. And if you want to give it a go, get started. There's lots of resources already online, plenty of things on my website. I mean, it's just the wish to do it, and then I'm sure you will make it work. And how did I get onto this? How
What
do I
is
make this a short story?
what is your website? Let me enter it, because there's a
Oh,
little fortune cookie that people can just click on the link.
okay. Fantastic. It is joseucar.com.
Okay, that's going to be very difficult. JoseUcar.com. And such a great
.com.
name, too, my friend. It's such balance. Jose Ucar, 4 and 4. I mean, it's really. So I've added it right to the fortune cookie, so people can just click right below us, and then they can click your website and go right to it. Let me make sure that that's correct. Yes.
It
Um,
is, Paul. Thank you.
yeah, you're very welcome. And I should have done it earlier, but so yes, getting into TEDx and motivational speaking, so people can just go to your website, and there's all these, I would imagine, free resources, and then they can also hire you to.
Yeah, everything. Yes, they'll find resources. They'll find some videos. They'll find access to my online course that I have in there. How to get in touch with me, the YouTube channel, everything I have is on the website. And if they don't find it on the website, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to support in any way I can. And Paul, you know what? It's interesting how I got into this. And that's the thing, life. Oh, goodness me, where do I start? I always love the camera. So I remember being 5, 6 years old, and my uncle bought one of these big cameras, back in the day with the VHS, the
Sure.
tape, huge tape. And I remember just loving being in front of it, jumping around. And I don't know whether it was the camera or the fact that I could see myself afterwards or the fact that I had my family together and it was a special occasion. You know what? Maybe all of it combined. I came to realize that later. I loved it. But then life, parents, family, friends, you need to focus on something. You need to do something. And I didn't know what to do until I came back from Sweden. And I thought, look, I've always liked business. I actually started my first business when I was 6. I always liked business and I always liked being international. And I'm coming back from Sweden. I got another language. And at that point, I decided, okay, languages, international business seemed to be the right thing to do. And that's how I got started. My biggest success throughout my career was my ability to connect with people and to go out there and present. So I remember my boss saying, Jose, now we're going to send you, well, the 2, 3 bosses I had throughout my career. Now we're going to send you to Mexico. You're going to present this business. Now we're going to send you to Germany. And this is the product you're going to be launching. And now we're going to send you to Turkey. And now you're going to be in India. And it was the presentation skills that really opened up everything for me. I loved it. And eventually I decided to start doing more of that. People within the business and partners and clients started inviting me, asking me to deliver training for their teams because they love the way in which I deliver my sessions, the presentations. I put events together for the businesses as well. And then it became actually quite a natural transition towards where I am today. Natural transition, lots of work, people. So it didn't happen overnight, but a very smooth way of things coming together. I didn't see it though, but it started happening. And I just decided to follow the momentum. I went along with it.
Well, that's wonderful. I had another question. There were 2 questions. One more on topic, which was, um, what kind of preparation do you do before you do a speech? It sounds like the question was also like, does your speech change from project to project, or talk to talk, and then how much preparation do you have to do?
I'm always preparing. And I know that's a big of you're always preparing for what? I'm always preparing. I'm always thinking about new content. I'm always reading. I'm always looking for inspiration. So you hear me speak today, and it's going to be different to what I speak next week or what I share next week. That's one thing. Of course, I've got my keynotes. And then my keynotes, I have one that is called, thank you, people.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have a keynote, for instance, called Speaking with Impact and Confidence. And the way in which I structure my talks are I decide how many points I want to make, and then the stories I'm going to use to illustrate them, the kind of data I want to highlight. Those are the key elements. And then I rehearse those, and then I practice those. And from talk to talk, one thing I never do is, because I've delivered this keynote 20, 30, 40 times, I'm not going to practice before the session. Wrong. I still practice it because I know, since I've been learning things until that day or that moment, when I deliver that during my rehearsal, naturally I inject more things, which makes it even more powerful. And that's the evolution as a speaker, in the same way as an athlete, as a high performer in whatever area of your life, your career. So always improving. The rehearsing becomes part of what I do. So I'm always doing it.
Wonderful. It's such a great answer. And I mean, you would think, I mean, that you could rest on your laurels and go like, I already know this. I've done it, 1,000 times. I don't need to rehearse it. But that's amazing to see that, yes, you do have to rehearse it, and it would probably show. You're not just going to you're not just going to phone it in. You're actually preparing and rehearsing for that one event that you're doing.
Yes, and adapting. Remember as well, Paul, as speakers, we do what we do because of the audience. So I will always adapt them to the audience. I may have some stories that are not ideal for the crowd I'm going to be speaking in front of. So I may decide to choose another story, or the data, the statistics, the information I share may be more relevant or not. So I'm always tweaking. And there was another thing I wanted to share.
Well, Jose, in the
Well, I'm
meantime,
always tweaking. Yeah, go for it. I'm always tweaking.
as soon as you remember, please share it. But I think even more importantly, another question was: does your wife make you learn? Did she make you learn salsa and cumbia? I think that's what's on people's minds.
Okay, where are these questions coming from? Are they yours or are they coming from the audience?
No, they are coming from the audience, and
Bless you.
I think if you hit the only way I can find it is if you hit react and then I hit an emoji, and then I'll see the questions. Because okay,
Ah, I see. I
yes,
see.
it's kind of you can't just bring it up for some reason. But here's some more. Jason Baraja says I practice and rehearse points, but always let fluidity flow through my conversation as I speak. I always remember that I'm being met by people who don't know me, and I want to make sure that I always leave hospitality as an invitation to engagement. What do you think about that?
Hey, Jason, buddy. Yes, I'm loving that one. I mean, the way I'm understanding that, or my version of it, is that I'm there to connect with people. So I'm present. Even though I've rehearsed, because when I say rehearse, it doesn't mean I'm memorized everything. I've rehearsed is that I know what I'm going to be speaking about. I've got my stories and everything else, but then I have the flexibility to be present. And if something happens at that moment, yes, we'll go after that. It's that level of flexibility depending on the size of the audience as well, what I've been asked to deliver. There's different elements, but yes, being present, being there, connecting with those human beings is key. Having a conversation with them. I don't agree personally with people that say, yeah, when I'm presenting, I'm presenting. No, I'm having a conversation. I'm delivering a message. I'm inspiring people. There's a lot that we do. But yeah, Jason, I love that one.
Wonderful.
Okay,
And Jose, if you have
carry on.
time, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know that you're busy, but maybe if anyone has some questions, would you mind if they raise their hand and come up? I don't want to put you on the spot, but if I know how
You're
much.
you're you're gonna put a public speaker on the spot. How dare you, Paul? How dare you? No, please, let's do that. Look, I have 15. Actually, I can push it 20 more minutes. Would that work?
That would be perfect because I know that we were talking before, and you told me how much you hate people. So I just wanted to make. I'm just kidding. That.
Yeah, right before we joined. Yeah, I don't want to be talking today. I mean, all these all this motivational speaking, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, no, that's not true. I made that up. But yeah, so if anyone's in the audience and would like to come up, by all means, put your hand up. And we have such a great resource here with Jose. And so, besides just going to your website to get a hold of you, what services do you offer, or is it about learning, how to speak publicly, or crafting a TEDx speech, or what's your forte, or what is it that you like to do?
I get approached from very different angles, so I'm quite flexible in that sense. I've been specializing for a while, and that's something I did with the previous businesses before I started my own business. And all of this was around presenting, speaking to sell, I call it speaking to sell, or presenting, pitching. And recently, I've been supporting more businesses around that. During the pandemic, I got the opportunity to do it. So pitching is one of them. But then I got involved with TEDx, and for a few years now, I've been curating TEDx events. I've been the MC of some events, so now I can definitely help people to craft and to apply for TEDx events, how to use the brand, to develop their business, their community, their business basically. Then the other one, Paul, speaking with impact and confidence in any environment, and I help business leaders, high executives to again communicate with impact. Most recently, I did a huge event with an automotive manufacturer to launch a new brand. And then it was about teaching, the CEO, the COO, and all of the key guys, well, key people, women and men, to speak with impact. Because even at that high level, they can do with more impact when they share their message. So training, speaking, and coaching all around mindset, confidence, communicating with impact. That could be a summary.
Wonderful, amazing. So I brought up, and thank you for answering that. That's brilliant. I brought up. I'm going to invite Jason to video. Jason, you're more than welcome to join us on video. or you don't have to. And please, if you have any questions or you'd like to say hello to Mr. Ucar, by all means, please do.
Jose, ¿cómo estás? How are you doing?
Jason, muy bien, amigo.
So,
Estás on fire. Thank you so much for the interactions.
gracias. So in my public speaking, my podcasting, the thing that I've been preaching a lot lately is greet with the hospitality that you want to be received, receive the interest of others, and leave with the hospitality that you would want every time you engage with another. What do you think about that? Because I feel that makes much more an opportunity for people to meet you where you're at and where they're at, because I'm not always interested in just voicing my opinion because that's so easy, but I'm always interested into hearing what someone says first and allow them to ask me questions. So when I create my speeches, I think of clear points. What question am I answering? So that's the end goal. And what do you think about that?
Jason, well, that's kind of the version that I mentioned for me about connecting. Yes, I agree. I like it. In a way, we as speakers are there to serve the audience. So absolutely addressing the problems they have at that moment, greeting them with hospitality and leaving them with the hospitality you would have liked to be left with, all of that. I completely agree. There is the one element, and sometimes depending on the size of the audience, you will have, at least in my experience, I know I have more time for interactions, and sometimes I have more time for actually sharing my content, if you like. Regardless, I'm always, in my mind, I'm having a conversation with those human beings. But if it's a large crowd and I've had up to sometimes 1,000, 2,000, and then I got the lights, on my face and everything, I may see some people, but then I cannot have that level of conversation, but yet I embrace their presence and I try to be as flexible as possible. But your points are key, because even, in my opinion, even if you cannot create that link, you're thinking about it, and that energy is being conveyed, and that connection is being created unconsciously as well.
Yeah, I like that, because when I think about, I think the most I've spoken in front of is 100 people now, and it's about performance. That's it. I'm not a coach. I've thought about becoming one, but I'm still crafting the expertise and the experience. So when I speak in front of people and people ask me, how do you get to functionality? And I think, number one, am I being effective? Can I help you become effective? Not efficiency, because efficiency follows your effectiveness. You just craft it, like a stonemason carving and chipping away at whatever you're trying to make. So I allow the process to teach me, to fill me more than I'm trying to fill the process. And that's like my evolution in my public speaking. So now it's not just like I've picked a topic. These people want to know something that I do that they don't already. And if I can I kind of make it, hey, you're invited to my table, have a glass of water, sit down, and we're going to enjoy a conversation. And I may not be able to meet every mind, but I also think about the minds and the thoughts, like planting seeds, crops. It's for later. I don't worry about, like in podcasting, I don't worry about how many live streamers. I let it go, and then when I promote it, then it comes what it is, So that's it. So thank you for your time. I definitely appreciate your consideration.
It's my pleasure, Jason. And quickly, what you've shared, I tend to work with four when I deliver my coaching sessions and presenting with impact and all of that. I speak about four different styles of presenting, and then ideally, then we begin to pull from each one of them, and we come what I describe as a multi-layer speaker, or flexible speaker that can adapt to any audience. And you are a lot of a channeler. I can sense you're channeling that energy and you are connecting, which is super powerful.
Yeah.
Again, thinking moving forward, when you get invited for paid gigs and things like that, when the booker is expecting you to deliver something specifically with certain results, then you may want to reach from the influencer.
Oh yeah, that's discussed, right? That's
Elements.
Every time someone wants to, I have 3 bookings coming up, and every time I ask, what exactly touched your mind that I've spoken about? And what do you want to achieve by me inviting to your network or your organization? What is it that you really want so that I can craft my experience to work in the best possible way? Because I can speak about a lot of things, but doesn't mean I'm always qualified. So, you know, I just want you to, I've had a guy say, I want you to motivate. And I'm like, okay, I like it, but how can I get your people to function? Motivation is like a firecracker. It was pretty for a minute, but it's the impact of how they're thinking, asking people questions, you know, like how flexible are you today versus what you want to achieve for tomorrow. Your flexibility and your fluidity determines a lot. So more people keep thinking, I need to go after more and more. But what about if you started in the day beginning, you're gracious and you're grateful, accomplish 5 things out of the day, and then how do you match up at the end of the day in completing those things? That's what makes the impact, not 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I don't know. You can have those things, but you have to let water flow in, and that's life.
Hey, exactly. Step by step, day after day. Yes, it's a daily thing. I love that, Jason, buddy. Wish you great success and let's connect.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
My
I'm going to
pleasure.
leave the stage so others can come up. Thank you, Paul.
You're very welcome, Jason, and thank you for that the great question and contribution. So thank you so much. And Jason made me feel a little foolish because, of course, I've just been speaking English as opposed to en español. So muchas gracias por estar aquí. Maybe that's why, because my Spanish is horrible. So
it's good, Paul. It's good. It sounds very Mexican.
well, wait, no, we don't have an accent though, do we? Mira,
no, of course not.
Acento.
No, usted no tiene acento, güey. Claro que no.
No mames, güey. No, what is the Argentine accent? Because obviously you're like, oh, I don't have an accent. I'm from Argentina. But how would I be able to tell that somebody is from Argentina?
Well, I mean, I may not be the right person to do that accent. I mean, why are you asking me that?
I don't know, because I'm always fascinated. You know, could you tell if somebody's from Paraguay or Uruguay or Brazil? Of course, they're speaking Portuguese. Or are there some words that are very Venezuelan that like Che is Argentine? You know,
yeah.
Is there something that I could use so that they're like, oh, he might be from Venezuela?
Okay, now you're asking me about Venezuelan accent. Yes, I can help you. I mean, with the Argentine, I know in Buenos Aires they have the porteño, they have the che, but then I mean that's not my area of expertise.
Did I say Argentine? I meant Venezuelan.
Yeah, you did. No, I know. I can imagine you meant Venezuelan, but you said Argentine. That's why.
Okay. No. I'm sorry. You're like, I don't know. I'm not Argentine. Wait.
Well, exactly. I mean, don't put there. You were putting me on the spot.
What part of Mexico is Venezuela from? Where's? I'm just kidding. It's like, what kind of Chinese are you? Are you Japanese?
Yeah, exactly.
Korean? Yeah.
Korean. Paul, look. Well, chévere has always been very Venezuelan, even though it's used in some other countries. And then chamo, chama, as in girl, boy,
chamo.
Boy and girl, chama. Y bueno, ¿qué pasó, chamo? ¿Qué pasó, chama? ¿Sabes? Nuestro acento es así, tal, de Caracas. Este es el acento de Caracas.
Got it. Well, yeah. Well, thank you. And then we did have another Jasmine. Is it Aquitas? When I did my TED Talk, it's absolutely a dialogue with the audience. Even if it is nonverbal, you can tell if they connect with what you are sharing. So
yes, and it all links together with what Jason shared as well. You have that intention, that's your purpose, and you carry that within in your mind, and that's happening, even if it's not coming out in your words. That's beautiful as well, Jasmine. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, Jose, muchísimas gracias, Chamo. Muchísimas gracias.
My pleasure, Chamo.
It's been very chévere. It's been muy chévere. Tan chévere. Gracias. I think my brothers Colombian wife uses that word as well. She goes, "Ah, es muy chévere," you know.
Yeah, chévere, it's used in Colombia as well. Pana is another one. Pana is in friend, like buddy. Pana, mi
Um,
pana. Paul, mi pana.
I love it. I love it. Well, do you have time for one more person to come up and ask a quick question?
Yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. If someone wants to come onto the stage, yes, I'll make time.
This person is very, very shy, so we'll have to bear with him. I'm kidding. He's far from. Let me invite him to camera if he wants to come on video. You're more than Chris. Welcome, buddy. Thank you so much for joining us. Did you have a question for our guest, or would you like to contribute something, sir?
Oh, yes, claro que sí. First of all, I would just like to say I've enjoyed what I've heard. It's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your time. And I'm that type of person that when I move around the streets of San Francisco, California, where I live, I'm always interacting with total strangers. I tell my children, never talk to strangers. Introduce yourself first. How important is it for a speaker to make that instant connection with an audience? Or is there such a thing as an instant connection or an instant common ground, if you will? Thank you for your advice.
Chris, thank you so much for that. Lovely voice. I mean, powerful voice. I wish I had more of that. I mean, wow. And before I answer your question quickly, you remind me of my granddad. He used to go in Caracas out every time I went out with him. He would chat everyone up. It was fantastic seeing him talk and having that kind of banter with people right away. That ability to create instant rapport. Yes, it is possible. It is possible, and you may realize that it's not possible to have it with everybody. I like to actually to speak when I speak about this. You tend to have in the audience, you have the 10-10 and the 80 in between. You have the 10 that may not connect with you throughout the presentation, and there's probably little you can do about that. There are the 10 that are going to be right there like, I'm loving this guy or this woman. Whoa. And then you have the other 80% to work on a little bit more, and many of them you can win or lose in the process. But yeah, that connection will happen. And it has to do with mindset, how you want to be perceived, your intention. That's why I love to speak about purpose, because every time I'm about to speak, in my mind, I'm there for them, for each one of those incredible human beings. And in my mind, I see them as, shining stars with unlimited potential. If you come with that level of energy and you don't need to gesture it, it just flows through you, similar to what Jasmine shared with her TEDx, you're very likely to connect with the majority. And then with the words come out, then they may agree, they may not agree, but unconsciously that connection is there. And then the rational and the unconscious connection, the emotions, and then the rational mind will kick in, and then they may decide to like you or not. But most of the time, I think it's going to be a yes. And in the same way, you go out talking to people, what are you thinking about right before you go and engage them? Because if they connect with you, then it's just the thinking that you carry that is definitely supporting that interaction. Hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you so much. And once again, Paul, thank you for this show, and thank you to your wonderful guest. Have a great day.
Thank you, Chris. Ciao.
Everyone, if you're going to live in the United States, you better learn Spanish. That's what I like to say. I love this. Everyone speaks Spanish. Let's give Jose a round of applause, folks. Thank you guys all so much for being here and contributing. Yes. So thank you. And Jose, I figured out how to find the questions. You click above somebody's head, and then you'll see all the, if there's questions or anything. So I wasn't just making them up, because if I were, my questions are more like, is the reason you went to Sweden because of the women? I'm guessing it was the tall blonde women,
Well, yeah, when I was 16, yes. And my wife is blonde. So there's something in there. I don't know. Some unconscious bias somewhere.
Well, thank you so much, Jose. Thank you for taking time. I wanted to also cover living in the UK and what that's like, but I think that's going to be for a different day. I'd love it if you'd come back and spend a little bit more time with me, because I just thought it was very important, though, that you actually speak to some of the people here and get their questions answered and connect with them. So, of course, if anybody wants to connect with Jose, just go to joseucar.com. And you can get all his social media there as well. He's on Instagram as well, and he's very responsive. I'm at paulvato.com, where you can find all of my social media and follow me there. Also, what I would ask as a personal favor is if you could find Paul Vato Presents the podcast. You can find it at paulvato.com, especially on Apple Podcast and on Spotify. We are celebrating a little bit over a month, and in that time I have, I think, over 20. I think you're the 23rd or 24th episode. So in the first 2 months is the most important part of a podcast's life. So if you guys, if you guys could go there and just hit 5 stars, of course, because I think you like it, and maybe leave us a review. That would be very helpful, and I would appreciate that. And you can, again, find that all at either paulvato.com or vato.tv. But again, let's give Jose a round of applause. And Jose, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I much appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Big love, everybody. And Paul, happy to come back whenever you like, my friend. All the very best with the podcast. You're doing great.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And I'm sorry, did you have any final thoughts, or is there anything else you'd like to share before we let you go?
As final thought, I would say go out there, speak your greatness. Everyone, or at least someone, may need to hear your story or what you've got to say. Even if you impact one person, think about that ripple effect, that compound effect of that person impacting others. That's what we need in this world. That's why speaking is so important. We can definitely change lives one person at a time. Thank you.
That is beautiful. Yes. So round of applause, everyone. Thank you so much. And I will reach out. So thank you, Jose. I much appreciate it. And thank you, folks, all of you that were here and spent some time with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Big love, everybody. Bye-bye. Ciao.
¿Quién es ese hombre holding up the bottle? Look a little closer, cigar and Moscato. An actor in improv coming from Chicago. Alto, make way for Paul Vato.